So, when we start, this is session 5. It's about slowing down and the lungs. We did the head and the face, and we're going to the lungs. When we start discussing life, what is life? Life is something that e- exists all the time. It's not about the future. It's not about the past. It's not about the next meal. It's not it's not about forward or backwards. It's about now. How can I enjoy now? We had that advert many years ago about a Nissan advert, which said, "Life's a journey, enjoy the ride." Are we enjoying the ride? Or are we looking forward to the destination? Are we thinking about the destination? Are we there already? I remember when I was a child, my family loved going to the Kruger National Park. It's still the biggest game reserve in South Africa. There was plenty of animals, there's plenty. It's almost like you're in a different world over there. And we were driving from little town to little town, and in between the little village towns, accommodation areas, you would drive no faster than 40 kilometers per hour. Maybe 20 kilometers per hour would be a normal speed to go. And during that time, my two sisters in the back seat, or I was the brother, and the two sisters were sitting either side of me, and they would say, "When are we there? When are we going to be at the next place?" And we would say, "But why do you want to be there? You're here. You're all there." And it's like, "No, I want to go to the shops." Ah, that's why you want to be there, because this is boring. And of course, a lot of people think they and experience boringness in life because there's this monotonous thing over and over again. But the idea is to be like the Nissan advert, is enjoying the ride. And I want to tell you a little bit, I'm going to add something to this enjoying the ride. Is many years ago, my dad and I, after one of my comrades' marathons, we decided to go to the Kruger National Park and spend some time, just father and son together, one of the bungalows, and just enjoy the time together. And that was time off for him and me. And then as we drove further up north to the different camps, there was that feeling of we're seeing less and less and less animals as we go. And as we saw less animals, it became pretty boring. So I'm talking about now, I'm out of school. Now it's just my father and I. I'm a young policeman. I'm Life is about action. Then at some point in time, we stopped and we saw birds in the trees, and we saw spider webs. And we started taking notice of more and more detail. And we stopped more regularly because we weren't just looking for the animals, the big animals anymore. Where are you at this point in time? Are you going flat out looking for big things to happen, or are you just enjoying the little in between things? For all of us, life exists out of four different elements: fire, earth, air, and water. So if you say life is air, life is breathing, I would fully agree with you. Everyone would say yes, life is air, the air that you breathe. But the air without the earth means nothing. If the earth isn't warm, no plants can grow in it. And if there's no water to water the earth, then guess what? Yes, there are plants that don't need heat for them to grow or very hot temperatures, but the sun does need to shine for most plants to grow. So all of these four elements are existing for our life to exist on this earth. And any of these four elements are actually disastrous when coming in large amounts. So large amounts of fire, major destruction. Have you ever heard of landslides? Large destruction when there's a landslide. Wind, terrible. Wind can, it's the most invisible thing with a most destructive power. And of course, water. And yet we need all four of these elements for life to exist. And when life exists, everything that exists because it breathes. All life exists because there's a lung system, a breathing system in place. It needs oxygen to breathe. It needs all the elements for it to exist. So, when we go to our work or our workplace, we see the same monotone things over and over. We see an office, we see concrete, we see walls, we see windows. Those are the things that are created so that the environment in which we live is easier. But then we want to break out of it. How many times do you, living in your house, in your space where you live, want to go away? You want to go on holiday. You want a break. You want a break from the monotonous life. You want to breathe. And we all need to breathe. Let's think for a moment. Let's take a deep breath. Another one. And every time you take a breath, you take it a little bit in, deeper in. Stretch those lungs and let it out slowly. And I can promise you, if you've done that, you're already feeling better. Anytime you stress, anytime you think of the past and the future, this is the middle point that brings you to a standstill. This is the tent, the fire next to the water, the secluded spot that you can breathe again. A lot of things, and of course, biblically is also true. Lots of things happen as you do things, as you change direction. So the people in the Far East believe that you shouldn't sleep in the north-south direction because there's too much energy. Sometimes you will see you go on holiday and you get into this bed and you think, oh, this bed is lacquer. You want to, you get in and you can't sleep. It's a direction change. So there's a lot of things in life that influence our moods. And it's coming back to the elements of fire, water, earth, and air. but there's also direction. I'm going to give you an example. I go to my mom's place in Pretoria, and while I'm busy sitting on a certain chair in a certain direction, I start yawning. I can't keep awake. And then I go and sit in a different direction and I'm alive. So there's a lady by the name of Marie Diamond. And I'd like to put this in the video on the bottom. It's a free app that you can download on your phone. Marie Diamond gives you the direction you should sit when you work, when you um, want to focus and concentrate. She gives you different directions for you as an individual based on some form that you fill in. Why am I mentioning this? Because your and my mind is influenced all the time by stuff around us. Sometimes we are less productive and sometimes we are more productive. Have you ever seen that you go and sit in a restaurant or a public place where there are tables and you seem to want to look to sit in the same place every time? There's a reason for that. So let's focus on our breathing now. I'm changing the direction of this quickly. We are focusing on breathing and concentration because your breathing is influenced, your concentration is influenced by your breathing. 70% of all the air that you breathe goes to your head, your breathing and your lungs, where this 30% goes into the rest of your body. For your lung health to be optimized, I'm just going to mention the vitamins first, and then I'm going to mention some of the herbals that you can take to increase your lung capacity. So if you've been smoking, or if you've been with asthmatic or breathing problems, and there's a lot of stuff in the air that you don't even know about. If you had to take a meter and test the rainwater and the air and all of that, you'll see there's a lot of metals in the air, especially aluminium. And there's more aluminium in the air for several reasons than there was 30, 40 years ago. So let's focus on what helps you breathe better. When you go out into nature, you look for the green. Green actually helps relax the eyes. Green is actually food for the eyes, believe it or not. And then we're going to talk about the greens that you can get in your diet for breathing properly. Spirulina and moringa is one of the best superfoods to take for lung health, as well as breathing, as well as it helps dissolve mucus. And that's an amazing supplement, those two. Moringa is a lot cheaper per quantity than spirulina. Comfrey, again, helps also as a green. When I started using it many years ago, the people that used it, they gave it to the sheep, especially sheep with this mastitis, and they couldn't let their lambs, the ewes couldn't let the lambs suck milk out of them, and they went and ate the comfrey plant to get to let them have milk and produce milk without having sore udders. And at that point in time, I realized that comfrey was this thing that I had. I don't want to say mastitis, but I had terrible mucus problems because of all the dairy products I was taking. And then everything changed because after 2 weeks of using comfrey, and comfrey you use only for 2 weeks because it is a medicinal herb. It helps your the chemical composition of comfrey is the same, virtually the same as a man and woman's bone structure. So it's nature's bone structure replacement, and it's been called knit bone by the ancient people, as well as it's got a hairy texture on the one side, which is nature's lung healer. And then you got Nasturtium, which is, I'm not sure if I've spelt it correctly. The Afrikaners call it the koppertjie, which it's almost like an onion taste on the mouth, which helps breathing properly. It's like little round leaves that grow this time of the year, and you'll see that all the plants like lemons and nasturtiums and all of these grow well this time of the year to supplement your health with good, your lungs with good health. So as a child, I used to have this problem with breathing because I had a lot of Coca-Cola and chocolates and white bread. Any bread, for that matter, causes mucus. And the more mucus you have, the less you can concentrate. And then when I started discovering this, I was 19 or 20 years old when I decided I needed to supplement my income. I needed to get some more better health. I ran my first Comrades at the age of 18. Now you're only allowed to run it when you're 21, which is a good idea. But I needed to breathe better because if you breathe better, you can think better. Somebody with blocked nose is constantly irritable and your level of intelligence falls. I think your IQ falls like 20 or 30 points when you can't breathe properly. You can't even reason properly when your nose is blocked. Otherwise, to supplement that lung support, everyone needs sunlight. They say some of the best time of the day is like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, best sunlight. But if you get sunlight, at least 30 minutes a day, something outside, it increases the bone capacity and it increases the hormone, the good hormone activity, and of course exercise also, because exercise, sunlight, and fresh air, breathing properly helps the lung support. And of course, our skins are lungs also. Our skins breathe also. So anytime you want to discuss any of this with me, it would be a good thing. We could everybody is competing these days with artificial intelligence, and artificial intelligence doesn't need lungs, it doesn't need anything, but we need to breathe properly. As we breathe properly, we can function properly and we can be at our most intelligent and we can be more productive in the day. And I have found that the days where I have, for instance, I eat something with white bread, I want to sleep within an hour, hour and a half afterwards. And that is not a good thing. So what we need to focus on is how can we be optimal. I'm not going to say human beings, and I don't want to say human beings because human beings is the excuse for being mankind. We are born, man and woman, with the image of God. And the image of God means we have something better and higher than anyone that can imagine what our purpose should be. Your purpose is different to my purpose. Your function is different to my function. I hope that helps a lot, and have a great evening. I'm just going to stop the recording now, and um, hopefully you've learned something.